Let's talk about universal basic income and these child tax credits. Nearly 40 million Americans this week have probably noticed something nice in their bank account. Show of hands, how many people are watching right now? Drop me a comment below. Let me know how many of you noticed a huge surge in your bank account this week. $300 for each child under the age of 5, $250 for every kid under 18. As the second round of monthly child tax credits went out this week. And it turns out this is really good. It's really good for people who actually like eating and living and actually having food to eat. Isn't that amazing? We can actually help people not have food insecurity in the United States. We'll get to that.
How did they get the kids on the streets that are that age, the $300 in shelters and stuff?
Good question. Good question. I mean, this is the thing. I don't know how they got it to them. This is the thing. If parents have a mailing address and they've actually registered, the thing is and that's what's really upset. I know you're being slightly facetious.
Yeah.
Facetious. But it is a good point. We've talked about this here on the show. What about the people who don't have a bank account, or the unbanked? They don't have a mailing address.
People who need the money the most.
Yeah, they don't have a mailing address, or they're at a homeless shelter. So can they use that as an address? These homeless shelters are overrun, by the way, right? This is why I think it's important we talk about an idea of a digital currency in the United States, a digital U.S. dollar. Look, yes, you know me. I'm personally a big fan of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, right? A decentralized financial system that takes money away from, gives people power outside of the federal government. But having a U.S. digital dollar that everyone has access to, doesn't matter if they have a mailing address, doesn't matter if they have a bank account, they would have a digital wallet that the Federal Reserve could immediately put $300 in during emergencies. I mean, just look what happened to Haiti, right? I mean, that's where we have these emergency situations where if you have a digital currency, you could immediately get assistance to people. They don't have to wait for a check to come in the mail. And they might not even have an address, so it gets lost in the mail. That happened to millions of people during the first round of stimulus that went out in March. So again, I know you were being facetious, but you're onto something there. So President Biden announcing this, saying that this is going to be transformative, and I think he's absolutely right.
Friday, about 40 million families will receive their second monthly payment as part of our tax cut for families with children. $300 for each child under the age of 6, and $250 for every child 6 through the age of 17. That's money for diapers, food, rent, school supplies, fees, and equipment for the child to join sports teams and dance classes. Most of all, as my dad used to say, it just gives a parent a little bit of breathing room. The money is a game changer. And so I would argue for some, it's literally a lifesaver.
I think he's right. I mean, I've said that this is transformative, these child tax credits. Now, it's really incumbent upon Democrats here. Like, what can Democrats do to make this thing permanent? So a group of economists have gotten together. Over 150 of them have come together to say we need to extend this unemployment or these child tax credits permanently. And they've also called upon the federal government to make universal basic income a part of our standard in the United States. Whether it's a $1,000 or $1,500 stimulus check once a month as a form of universal basic income for those that qualify at a certain income level, to create that social safety net. And these economists, you think, oh, economists are going to be stodgy. No, what they're showing is that this actually works. It actually works to lift up the entire economy. And by the way, where does this money come from? Oh, it comes from taxes. Look what other countries have done. Instead of spending $750 billion a year on defense budgets, like we do, like we've continued to do, look at this. U.S. government gave the top 5 defense contractors $156 billion in contracts for the fiscal year 2020. How about we stop propping up defense contractors and start helping actual people in need? Look at the amount that's increased since 2016. Pentagon spending, $138 billion. We could easily pay for a form of universal basic income to make sure that Americans are taken care of, reduce and eliminate food insecurity in the United States. Wouldn't that be remarkable? Yeah, we could absolutely do that. The so-called Big Five defense contractors include Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Boeing, and Northrop Grumman. They led the contract spending by Department of Defense in fiscal 2020. Lockheed remained the overwhelming leader with $72 billion. This has come from you guys. You guys paid Raytheon. You guys are sitting there waiting for a tax refund because the IRS has 35 million tax refunds it can't get to because it's backlogged. You guys paid for them. You guys paid for this.
In a time when, they didn't take care of us, defense contractors got basically a UBI. They got help during the pandemic. We didn't.
In a big way. Look at the increase from 2019 to 2020. Thanks, pandemic. And they just got an additional $50 billion that was tacked on to the most recent. I mean, look at this. Raytheon was second with $27 billion in spending obligations. Collectively, the five companies totaled $156 billion, or about 35% of the $445 billion total Pentagon spending in fiscal 2020. Yeah. Good. Great. That's what we're doing. Great news, though, as Reich points out, we had a 45% drop in poverty thanks to these stimulus checks and programs. 45% drop. And new data out this morning is eye-opening. Eye-opening. And it comes from our census. So they did the studies before they received these child tax credits and stimulus checks, and they did them once again afterwards. Listen to this. The survey... Oh, is that not showing up there? My old lappy top. Anyway, I'll just read it, and I'll tell you. You'll have to trust me. There we go. There we go. The survey shows introduction of the CTC, child tax credit, coincided with a drop in food insufficiency in households with children. It also showed that those households, there was a drop in difficulty paying weekly expenses. Several changes were made to the child tax credit as part of Biden's American Rescue Plan, signed in March 2021. The program, it provides the tax credit to all families with children, including those who are not required to file a federal tax return. Amazing. So, there's an idea, right, that we shouldn't just give people money, right? That we should put money, we should send them to homeless shelters, or we should send it into some sort of slush fund that people could have access to, et cetera, right? But it turns out that actually just giving people cash for them to use on their grocery bills, food for their children, et cetera, most Americans used it for those purposes. And it's way more effective than trying to put it into some earmark fund, like a community fund, at your local city. You have to go there and to get access to this. No, but actually giving this money and this help to American people actually helps them. So right now, the big push from these economists and other Democrats now is to say, let's make this permanent. And that's the battle that's unfolding right now in Congress. Will this remain, will we continue to see these child tax credits? Will we see additional stimulus and a form of universal basic income as part of this? There's 21 Democrats who are now pushing for this. And remember, that petition this morning is almost at 3 million. The Change.org petition for $2 million, for $2,000 regular stimulus checks or regular UBI payments for the American people. And by the way, the data on UBI, Universal Basic Income, is overwhelmingly successful. In every one of the test bed groups that they've tried has been an overwhelming success. The new data from Finland and their most recent, Germany, which is rolling out their own Universal Basic Income plan. All of them have been successful because it removed, I think we were talking about this yesterday, it removes that just little bit of it, that removes that anxiety, that stress, that insecurity. And it allows people to act. And it's not like they're not going to go look for work. They still want to work. They still want to find jobs. They still want to, create something meaningful. Maybe they want to start a business.
Yeah. What harm would it be if that $2,000 just went into savings? Like they just got $2,000 extra every month that they can put into savings to be there for when they have a medical issue or something that they can't afford right now because they don't have Medicare for all. Like, who cares if they're making more than they should with $2,000? Right.
And we saw that a good portion of people actually took that money and invested it. There are people that actually put that into investments and actually made money and actually grew that $1,600 stimulus payment and grew it to $4,000, $5,000, $20,000 as a result of it. I mean, wasn't it George W. Bush who wanted us to be able to take our 401k plans, our Social Security money and put it in the stock market, right? Instead of just giving you into the slot, what if we put it into the stock market? Of course, it was said to say vilified, of course, because it was going to Wall Street. And I understand that part of it. We're going to take government money and just shove it into Wall Street's hands.
Or invest in a business, in yourself.
Yeah.
Start a business.
Exactly. And for many people, they did that. They were able to take that money. It was able to provide them the cushion that they needed to actually start their own business, instead of working for slave wages for some horrible company that's going to treat you poorly and not give you any kind of benefits and treat you like a cog in the machine. So we'll keep our eye on this. I think, though, Robert Reich is exactly right. Poverty is a political choice. That's exactly what it is. We have a choice right now as a nation. Do we stand up? Do we want to say, hey, the least among us right now, the least among us, we are only as strong as the least among us? My kids, in a little argument at the dinner table, they wanted a dessert the other night, right? And my 4-year-old, she's been a little sick. She's got a little cough lately. And so we wanted, you just got to finish these vegetables. And it was a fresh fish that we had. So fresh fish and vegetables. And you've got to finish these vegetables. You need the vitamins to, kick this cough that you've got. You need that. And so the other kids had finished theirs. And she was the last one. And they were sitting at the table together down the end of the table. And we said, you know what? If you guys want dessert, if you want this fruit, whatever, plate, whatever, you've got to work as a team, okay? And help your little sister right now finish that, right? They're like, why? Hey, it's the way the military does it, right? It's the way that you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? So if you need to work together as a team and carry that person, that's what you need to do. And that's what we need to do as a nation. So what do? They both okay, we want that dessert. Yes. So let's help her. Let's help her, lift her up. And so she ate all of her vegetables.
What I was saying the other day, I was talking to a friend and I was like, what is the difference? If you had somebody that you knew that ended up with cancer and they started a GoFundMe and you would give them some money and you would try to get a bunch of other people to give them some money. Well, just think of it as one big campaign to help everyone. It's like you're giving a little bit every single month of your money, but you're helping. It's like you're giving to a fund that helps people that by no fault of their own have these issues, cancer or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm. I mean, isn't that really what Social Security is supposed to be? I mean, we're paying into the Social Security fund right now. It's not to help us. Right now, we're helping others, right? We're helping those who are nearing retirement. So we're paying into a system to help those. And then we assume, by the time we get there, that we will also have access to that at some point. But it's not our money that's going into that fund. It's technically we're paying it forward in many ways. That's what we're doing when we provide that Social Security tax. In these other countries that have higher taxes, yes. Do you want to wind up like Norway and pay more taxes? Yeah. Yes. Why? Because people are taken care of. And there aren't people sleeping on the streets in tent cities under overpasses like in California and outside the Federal Reserve building in Washington, D.C. And people have health care.
And in tent cities where they've actually said that Ebola could make a return because of, the
God.
rats and everything. We're talking we're going backwards in so many ways.
Grover, what are we going to do? What are we going to do, man? What are we going to do? I don't know, but he doesn't have any solutions. He's just I just want to be loving. I just want to help other people. Can we do that? It's amazing to me. It's just amazing to me the callousness with which this machine operates. And the American people have been so blinded to it because it's all part of this whole machine where you are watching businesses walk all over people. And then they sit at home at night, Americans sit at home at night, and they flip on CNN or they flip on Fox or they flip on the mainstream media or NBC. They watch Lester Holt and NBC Nightly News, and they put that crap on, and they're just spoon-fed from this same machine. It's like the Matrix, isn't it? I mean, can you unplug from this? I think most people like choose to take is it the blue pill that puts you back into you're just sedated, you're back into the system.
Well, that's like, I mean, look at like Monday Night Football and all these things they have as distractions to just get you to, shut up and be entertained.
Mm-hmm.
And don't worry about it. Don't worry about the fact that we're spending $750 billion plus. That's like the base level to kill people, to kill innocent people around the world. But we can't take half of that and put it into helping and saving people in the United States. We can police the world, we can empire build, we can do all that stuff. That's perfectly all good and fine. But when it comes to helping people, we can't figure out how we're going to pay for it. We can't afford it. It's going to turn people into, beggars, and everybody's going to live off the dole of the American people. But that's the thing. If you have a very few that do that, the sum of the whole, the people that would actually benefit from it would be far greater than who would take advantage of it. And I'm perfectly fine with some people taking advantage of it. I don't care. Let them, as long as it helps more people get ahead.
Yeah, you're going to have some bad apples, right? You're going to have some people that would take advantage of it, of course, right? Like I say, again, like if you want to have some pork projects that get a bridge built in a community, but it also allows people some sort of universal basic income, like that's the trade-off. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I'm fine. I love this. Who's going to pull this benefit from children? Tax credit is here to stay. It's a form of guaranteed income. Now we only need to expand it to older and older people. Good way to make sure everyone has food and clothing. Love thy neighbor. Becca says, Republicans, we don't have enough money to help starving kids. There will be nothing left over for millionaires and billionaires. Yeah, how are we going to support these millionaire and billionaires, right? I mean, it's amazing when Nancy Pelosi suddenly can't support certain programs because who comes out of the woodwork is these billionaire corporations. They're like, you can't do this. You can't provide people with free college. This is the United States of America. Like, you need to go into massive student loan debt in the United States of America. You cannot have free public college like they have through the rest of the world.
Yeah, if you're not in debt by the time you get out of college and can't be a slave to labor, like, we can't have that. We need you to have so much money that you have to work the rest of your life so that people can go on TV shows and brag about their mom who worked since she was 12 years old till her deathbed, because only in America, 3 jobs. Like, I mean, that's an American thing.
Yeah. You have to work 3 jobs in America to make ends meet. If you live in San Francisco and you work at minimum wage, you live in the San Francisco Bay Area and you make minimum wage, I think you have to work 3.5 jobs in order to be able to pay rent.
Could you imagine, like, what other countries are people killing themselves to make enough just to survive? Because if somebody's working 3 jobs, it's not so they can get ahead. It's so that they can just keep up. Mm-hmm. And in other countries, they work 1 job and they can get ahead. Sure, there's going to be people that waste their money over there too, but at least they're happier people. You've got people not working the same hours we're working. They get vacation time. They get maternity leave. They get all these things that we don't get in this country. And these people are working 3 jobs because they have to. And people are like, that's a bragging point. Like, wow, I work 3 jobs. Wow, you're such a hard worker. Man, that is impressive. But it's sad.
It's really sad. And a lot of it started in the 1980s. A lot of it started in the 1980s. Remember the welfare queens, thing that emerged from Reagan's America? He gutted child support. He created college debt, basically. I mean, exploded from the 1980s. Basically created a version of like modern homelessness. He made it so grad students could not get AFDC nor food stamps. He stripped all support for college students. He closed facilities. He closed public housing, stopped building additional housing, except for prisons, by the way, because the prison system needs their money, the private prison system. It can all be taken away. It was taken away. We watched it taken away. The term homeless person in the United States at that time was a historical concept. I mean, think about that. It was a historical concept at that point. Like we had gotten rid of it, or we completely reduced it because of being able to create public housing, closed facilities that enabled people to have a place to live, a roof over their head. But we can't have these welfare queens that are sucking on the system. We need to enrich defense contractors and make sure these billionaires are making money.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like they focus on the smallest percentage. Like it irritates me with the laws as well. Like, so I'm a drone pilot. I've had a drone since the beginning. I've been a very responsible drone pilot. But one guy flies his drone into a geyser at Yosemite Park, and guess what? Nobody can fly drones in state parks anymore because of one idiot. And it's like we cannot let one person or one small minority determine what happens to the whole rest of the people. Like that just makes no sense.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, it's like the shoe bomber guy, right? Oh, now we all have to take off our shoes because of Richard, whatever the heck his name was. Whatever the guy. Anyway, Teresa says, I'm a single mom who works 2 jobs and I'm looking for a third. Been working since I was 6. You've been working since you were 6, Teresa?
Read.
2 jobs. 2 jobs. Now you're looking for a third. Just to make ends meet. Awful. I mean, James Figueroa, that was me back in 1985. Sorry.
It's okay.
James said, that was me back in 1985, working 2 jobs just to enjoy life, but instead paying bills instead. Yeah.
And that's the thing. People are like that, like it's some kind of bragging right, you know, like if I was working that many jobs, like, and you don't have a good quality of life because you can't do anything extracurricular or whatever. You're just working.
Yeah. I mean, I knew when I was working 2 jobs in high school and college. I mean, I was a lifeguard and I would work 2 jobs. So I worked at McDonald's in the morning. So I did the morning shift at McDonald's. And then I would go to my lifeguarding job all day. So like noon until 8 p.m. And I would ride my bike all over the place. And so then I would stop, get like a Subway sandwich, come home, and it just would collapse. Like I just would eat this like turkey sandwich and have a bottle of water, and I'd fall asleep, and I'd do the whole thing all over again the next day, you know? Just brutal. Tanda Vaughn says, I've been eating a lot of bean and bacon soup that costs between 69 and 89 cents a can. By the way, I love that bean and bacon soup. If you're talking about the Campbell's bean and bacon soup, I love it. But it's so not healthy for you. I mean, that's the thing. It's like the problem is that the government subsidizes these types of foods. And I love it just the same as you do, Tanda, but it's filled with sodium. It's filled with like nitrates. It has the bisphenol, which is the chemical that keeps it from sticking to the inside of a can. So don't ever eat canned food, by the way. I mean, not to be all preachy, but just look it up. You'll realize this is a cancer-causing agent. So not only are you're trying to work hard, put food on your table, but the government subsidizes this type of stuff. And so you're eating this canned food that has like bisphenol or whatever that's like blocking, I think it's bisphenol, that's like keeping the food from sticking to the can so it slides out. That's in there. That's why you should use like the cardboard. They've now switched to some of the cardboard soups, and the thing. But I mean, this is what we have to deal with. You have to eat a lot of 60. We're the richest freaking country in the world, and you're having to eat canned soup.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there are stuff that they put in our food over here that are banned in Europe, like sodium benzoate and stuff like that. That's a preservative. Over here, the high fructose corn syrup and all that stuff. But over in Europe or other countries, they wouldn't put that. Like, it's actually illegal to put sodium benzoate in things because it's a carcinogen when mixed with other vitamins.
Yeah. What is I'm trying to find the harmful chemicals in it. I forget the name of it. Yeah, I mean, there's BPA, of course, but and BPA is found in at least 10% of all canned foods. But I know that's the thing with like Campbell's, it's like, I don't think that unless they've moved to some of the cardboard versions of the soups. Like
bisphenol is what John Venturini said.
Yeah. So just be careful with that stuff, Tanda. Like, I mean, it's so awful, right? Like we can subsidize these industries that keep people unhealthy, right? With corn syrup and all of this stuff. And we can funnel this, billions of dollars to school lunch programs that are all crappy school lunches for kids, not healthy. They blasted Michelle Obama for trying to make healthy lunches. I remember conservative media stations doing like whole segments about like, Michelle Obama, keep your hands off my cheeseburger. And they like, I'm an American. I'm going to have a barbecue. Michelle Obama, keep your garden at the White House away from me, okay? And I just like, you smug ass. Really? Like, you can't see the good in trying to like encourage people to create a home garden so they can provide for themselves with lettuce and vegetables? Really? Keep your hands off my cheeseburger. And so that at school lunches, we can have, pizza is now considered a vegetable because the pizza sauce with high fructose corn syrup in the pizza sauce to give it that sugary taste. Like, that's considered a vegetable. And so is French fries. And so is ketchup that has high fructose corn syrup in it because the high fructose corn syrup lobbied Congress to make sure that that was considered a vegetable and they could get government handouts. I mean,
like that commercial, sugar. It's sugar. and you know what's also crazy is that the farmers that are growing the corn for high fructose corn syrup are the ones that are getting subsidized, not the ones growing the vegetables that we actually want. The food that we actually want and need doesn't get subsidized. It's the crap foods that go into this mass production of sugar and all the things that are bad for us get subsidies. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, watch the video that I did last week on our junk food addiction in the United States. I think, David, you were out that day, but I did a whole thing on how the U.S. government subsidizes the fast food industry. I mean, they're rewarding and they're crushing small farms, like the small farms that producing the vegetables and the fruits and those types of things that would actually be healthy. They don't get the subsidies and taken care of. No. It's the exact opposite. It's just disgusting what's going on in the United States until we need to demand a change. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.